perfect tee up without even meaning it to be. So thank you. So welcome guys, welcome everybody to our class today. We will be talking about how to install air filters. So get ready. I'm just kidding. No, guys, I am so honored and excited to be here. And for those of you who, I know I see some familiar faces in the audience, I also see a lot of new faces. And I moved from Raleigh to Atlanta about 1.5 years ago, so this is a little bit of a homecoming for me to come back and get to see so many people who I know and who I love, and also to meet new people. I don't know about you guys though, but for me, the only audience that I ever really get nervous speaking in front of is people who I know. Are you guys like that? Where like if it's strangers, you're okay, but then as soon as you're in front of your colleagues and people you know, you're kind of like, oh God, am I gonna mess up, right? But I heard a study recently that kind of, it's helped me overcome that fear a little bit. And I don't know if it's true or not, but according to the Harvard Business Review, they did a study and a survey of different audiences to see what's happening in the audience when you're up on stage speaking. And what they said was that only 11% of the audience actually retains anything that you say. And so for me, automatically, I'm feeling a lot better about this. Now another 22%, while you're up here talking and you're doing your prepared thing and you worked really hard, they're thinking about their personal problems. So they're not even with you, they're out to lunch. But the part that really set my mind at ease was that the other 67% at any given time while you're talking is having sexual fantasies. And so for me, probably about you, for me, I realized it really doesn't matter if I'm any good up here or not, because at least 2/3 of you are going to be having a great time. And we are, guys, and we're going to have such a good time today. I'm going to share with you some things that I have observed about how to become rich, famous, and influential. Not in like a slimy or gross way, but in a way where you're able to go out and really do good in the world and make an impact and make a lot of money so that you can serve people. And just so you guys know, a lot of what I share today, this is not my original content. So my team and I at Brand Builders Group have spent years and years studying this stuff and easily over $100,000 taking all the online courses and going to the seminars and all that stuff, right? To learn and try to distill the best of what's working in building a strong personal brand today. And so my goal and my hope is that for you guys investing a little bit of time with me today, I can help save you a lot of time, a lot of money, trying to figure this stuff out on your own. So without further ado, a lack of revenue is not your biggest problem. A lack of reputation is your biggest problem. Reputation precedes revenue every single time. For those of you who are not hitting the revenue numbers that you are hoping to hit, it's not a revenue problem. It's either that you are not well known enough, that you are not trusted enough, or that people don't clearly understand what you do. And so we put together something that we call the reputation formula. Results times reach equal reputation, okay? Results times reach equal reputation. So what does that mean? So when we talk about results, I want you to think about, what do you do better than anybody else? What results have you gotten in your own life, in your clients' lives? One of our co-founders is a guy named Rory Vaden. He wrote a book called Take the Stairs. Has anybody read that book before? It's an awesome book, New York Times bestselling book. But one of his mentors when he was 19 growing up was a guy named Dave Avrin. And Dave used to ask him, he would say, Rory, what can you speak about with integrity? To what question are you the answer? And to what problem are you the solution? So when you're thinking about your results, you want to think about it that way. And typically, like when you're first starting off, if you're first creating a business, it's usually going to be results that you've gotten in your own personal life. But then as you get clients and as your business grows, of course, then it becomes your clients' results as well. So that's results. The reach piece is really interesting to me. How many of you are familiar with the term platform? Because we hear that word thrown around a lot, right? Like, what's your platform? And I used to wonder, like, well, what does that really mean? When I think of a platform, I think it's who do you have direct access to? At any given moment, who do you have direct access to? And this word is so important. And it's more important than ever, especially, is anybody in here like a speaker or an author, or you want to write a book, or so we got some people, and it's especially important, those of you who do that will know this in the publishing world, right? There's that old story about Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he's at an event, he's at a book signing, and this woman comes up to him, and she's a writer, and she says, you know, I don't think your book was that well written. And he says, okay, well, that's all right, because if you'll notice, on the front cover, it doesn't say New York Times best writing author, right? And so really, it is who do you have access to? Who can you get in front of? And something that we do for our clients at Brand Builders Group is something called your platform portfolio. It's essentially looking at all of your digital assets, all of the audiences that you have access to see who's your direct audience. Who can you get your message in front of? And those things combined form your reputation. Now, today is not going to be about how to form a reputation overnight, right? It takes years and years and years to create your reputation, but it is going to be about how to amplify the reputation that you have and how to get that in front of more people. And so, because at the end of the day, if people don't know about you, they can't do business with you. Okay, so that's what today is about. But we run into typically 4 problems when you're trying to build a reputation. And the first one is, well, I don't necessarily like to go out and sell, right? I don't like to cold call. I don't like to ask for business. I mean, who in here, when you get a client, it's awesome because you are good at what you do. And you're like, I love this. I can work my magic. The client is going to love it. But you hate the process of getting a client. Can anybody relate to that? Right? Yeah, I get it. And really what's at the base of that is, I don't like it. I don't like it. But I think sometimes in life, we have to do things that we don't like. And I think about, I mentioned Rory, one of the co-founders of the company, and his wife AJ. They have this really cute 18-month-old son. His name is Jasper. And Jasper is awesome. But they're already teaching him how to do things that he doesn't feel like doing. And last year, right around this time, they were planning their first Halloween. And they kind of realized that the first Halloween isn't really for the kids. It's much more for the parents, right? Who in here is a parent where you get that the first Halloween is way more for the parents than the kids? And so they go out and they find the most adorable baby panda costume. And they are so excited because they're like, oh, he's the cutest thing. But Jasper, on the other hand, he was not so excited. When they posted this picture on Instagram, somebody commented and said, this wins the internet. He was not having it, but sometimes we have to do things that we don't feel like doing. With that being said though, there's a lot of ways that you can get inbound leads to your business so that you do not have to go out and cold call or solicit business. And my whole background prior to doing this was actually sales training. So I used to create salespeople. Now I like to create celebrities, people in their space who get all warm inbound leads. And so I'm going to show you guys something we call the 12-cylinder marketing engine. And so we're going to go through these pretty quickly. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on some than on the others, but these are all different ways that you can be generating inbound leads to your business so that you're not having to go out and sell or make cold calls. And what I would ask while we look through this is just to kind of do like a quick check and maybe rate yourself scale of 1 to 10 on these to say, where am I rocking it and where can I maybe do a little bit better? So public speaking, blogging, podcasting, book publishing, webinar hosting, affiliate marketing, social media conversing, publicity touring. I want to stop on this one for a minute because this one has changed so much. It used to be that you really wanted to go out and try to get national news media, right? If you were like writing a book or trying to get booked on national stages. And my colleagues and I, especially Roy, we spent some time on the national news circuit, but what ends up happening is you've got maybe 4 minutes in front of an audience that is like half paying attention while they're cooking dinner, right? And they're like, then it's gone, the 4 minutes is gone. So the new publicity touring and what we can all be taking advantage of is podcast touring, right? Who in here either has a podcast or knows somebody who has a podcast? Right, so about half of the audience. And what's really interesting with that is even if it's a smaller podcast, it's still gonna get probably at least 2,000 downloads in a month. And so if you think about that, you have the opportunity, even if you're on a small podcast, to get in front of an audience that actually cares about what you're talking about, that is loyal to that person, who's running the podcast that is a captive audience. They are interested in what you're doing. And so I really think that podcast touring is one of the best things that you can do to grow your brand. Even if you're a local business, it is credibility, it drives leads, and that was actually a huge part of how we launched our second book, was not going after the major news media, but it was going after podcasts, and it worked very, very well. Event networking, like today, is another great way to generate leads. Association volunteering, just giving, right? So much of this stuff, and you'll notice this throughout my talk today, but so much of it is generosity. Be generous with your time, with your information. People will respond to that. People like to work with people who are generous. Community serving, and then finally, influencer giving. And I think that is a lot of events like today, like Mind Your Business, like what David has created here, is just get in front of people and give away everything you know for free. That is it. It always comes back to you, but be generous with that. And at the end of the day, really what I want to help people kind of transition from is, in a mindset, is to become a magnet, not a megaphone, right? We want to be pulling people in because of who we are and what we're doing, not out there just blasting people like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Second problem that comes up then is separating from the crowd, right? And I think even Nancy, like what you did today was so cool because you just separated yourself from all the other financial advisors out there. And that is a challenge though, right? Is there's so many people doing what you do, even like in a local market. How in the world are you gonna stand out? And I love this quote from Sally Hogshead. Is anybody in here a Sally Hogshead fan? She wrote a book called Fascinate. Different is better than better. That is it. Different is better than better. If you are going to try to stand out, if you are going to make a name for yourself, it's not that you have to become better than everybody else, but it's how are you going to be different? How are you going to be unique? And part of the question becomes, well, what is a brand? If you're going to build your brand, if you're going to stand out, what is a brand? All right? And I think about celebrities and people who, I mean, we talk about like Kim Kardashian, right? Can't talk about this without talking about her, but she's an example, love her or hate her. She's an example of building an incredible personal brand, and people who are well known, they put so much time and energy and effort into cultivating the perception of other people of what they think of them, right? Because truly at the end of the day, we don't own our brand. The world owns your brand. It's what they think of when they think of you. Now for me, this really hit home a couple years ago. It was it was actually my first Christmas with Jason, my husband. And I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but sometimes on that first Christmas, you're like, we're trying to save a little bit of money, right? Like we're trying to buy the house, do that thing. So we had set a spending limit of $100 on our Christmas presents we were gonna buy for each other. Has anybody ever done that? It's kind of sucks, but you're like, we'll do it. We'll find something cool to get. And so we both said, okay, we're gonna do presents that are under $100. And I'm thinking, okay, it's our first Christmas. I still want to make it awesome for him. And I remembered that he had told me about this toolkit that he wanted. And I went and I looked it up online, and it's like $75. I'm like, sweet, score, this is awesome, this is perfect, it's gonna work. So I get him the toolkit, and I get him a couple of books. He likes some of like the spiritual woo-woo type of books, which I like too. I don't know if anybody here is into that. But I get him his books, his woo-woo books, and his toolkit. and then I'm thinking like, okay, so for my gift, I wonder what he's gonna give me. And he knows I like jewelry. And I'm like, hey, it's fine, like some really pretty jewelry, it'll be meaningful. It doesn't have to be diamonds, but it'll still be meaningful. And it's just gonna mean a lot that it came from him. And so Christmas Eve comes, and we do a Christmas exchange on Christmas Eve because he has to go into work at the hospital the next day. And it's Christmas Eve night, and we're sitting on the couch, and we've got, you can kind of picture it like the Christmas tree twinkling in the corner, and we got a dog on either side, because God forbid we sit on the couch without them, right? And we're about to do our gift exchange. And so I'm like, I want to go first, because I'm excited, and I know you're going to love this. So I give him his gift, and he's like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was hoping you would get me. Like, I love this. I'm so happy. Thank you. I was like, yes, I nailed it. Score. He loves it. I did good. Good wife. And he goes to give me my gift. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, this box is a little big for jewelry, but maybe it's a necklace or something, I don't know. So I open it, and I look down, and I look at him, and I look down, and I look at him, and inside the box is a pair of knee-high socks and a taser. And I was like, clearly, I did not brand myself as somebody who likes jewelry for gifts. So that, for me, was the first experience of, you need to be very careful about the brand that you cultivate when you are telling other people what you like. So needless to say, we are working on the gifting and it's getting better in the marriage situation. So with all of that said, I want to share with you guys a visual because I think that'll help demonstrate some of what some of you may be feeling like you're up against as far as how to separate yourself from the crowd. And it's something that we call Sheehan's Wall. We named it after a guy named Peter Sheehan. It is his idea, so we just want to give him credit for it. But Peter studies people who become true celebrities in a given space. When I say celebrity, I use that word kind of loosely, but it's just people who are well known, right? To see what do they do that's different than everybody else, right? And essentially what he says is that in every industry, there's this invisible wall. And the wall separates the people who are known from the people who are unknown. Now what's happening is on the side of the unknown, everyone's trying to push through. Okay, so they're pushing. But the reason why most people never break through is that they're never clear on what problem they solve, what singular problem they solve, who their core target audience is, which I know David's gonna talk about later and will be awesome. And then also, like, what platforms are they on? How are they gonna reach them? And for those of you who do public speaking or who write, or even just when you're first starting a business, isn't it easy to want to do everything for everyone? Right, because you're like, I need money, I need opportunities, I need, like, yes, I can speak about sales, yes, I can speak about marketing, yes, I can speak about leadership, right? But because we're so diffused, you never break through the wall. It's never strong enough to break through the wall. So Peter says that the people who actually break through the wall, what they do is they get laser focused. And they say, this is the one thing that I am going to be known for. And they put so much energy and force and velocity and momentum behind it that they finally break through the wall. And now, here's an interesting thing that happens is once you're on the side of the known, you can pretty much talk about anything and people will listen. Right? I mean, think about Tony Robbins. I think he's a great example. He started off with the late night infomercials on personal development, did that over and over and over again, broke through the wall. Now is writing books on money. And a lot of us, myself included, are buying and looking to him as a mentor in the financial advising space. Oprah, right? She can say anything and people will listen because she's Oprah. And so I would imagine for some of the people in this room, part of the question of the challenge is, how do I break through the wall? Right? How do I, in my specific industry, how do I break through the wall? And sometimes we get the question of, well, not only that, but how do I know what I have? Right? And we think it's really simple. On the side of the unknown, everything is push. You're reaching out, you're initiating contact, you're like, hey, I'm here, will you buy from me, be my client? Side of the known, it's all pull. People are coming to you because you are who you are. People trust you, they do business with you, and they don't question you. And so as we pivot here, I want to offer you guys a free video course on how to do that. It's something called First Step to Famous. These are the co-founders of our company, Rory and AJ Veda, and they're amazing people out in Nashville. And so this video course will teach you two things. One is it'll teach you the steps to break through the wall. I don't have time for all of that today, so it'll give you those steps. The other thing that it will do, just full transparency, is I try to practice what I preach. And I am about to show you guys, I want to spend the rest of our time on how to build the back end of your site so that you do generate revenue. Like a lot of people, that's at the end of the day, if we're not making money from our personal brand, then we can't keep it up, right? So I want to show you guys like the nitty gritty of how to do that. But when you take this video course, when you sign up for this, you will see like a living example of a very simple way to do that. And so all you need to do if you want to get it is just send an email to buildyourbandwithelise@gmail.com, put your first name in the subject line and hit send. Honestly, it's probably faster just to do it now than to take a picture of it because you can just send the email. So if you guys want to send that, you can send the email, again, just first name in the subject line and hit send. And that'll teach you guys how to break through that wall. So does anybody still need this or can I move on? Raise your hand if you still need it. Okay, cool, we're moving on. It'll be up again at the end. All right, so here's the third problem. This is where I want to spend the rest of our time today, is it feels so complicated to build out the back end of your website or your platform to actually be able to start building a relationship with people. Does anybody relate to that? Like all the tech stuff, all the funnels, it's like, what the heck? Yeah, right? It's super, I get it. I was super confused by it, and I'm gonna share with you guys some things that help make it really simple for me. And hopefully this will, because if it can be simple for me, it can be simple for you. I'll tell you that. So hopefully this will help to demystify and make it a little bit simpler. And so I think just a good mindset to enter into with this here is you never accidentally make money. Money is always a byproduct of the value that you deliver. Some of you are afraid to give away what you know. You're like, I don't want to give it away because then who's going to be my client, right? I want to really challenge you on that, to start giving away everything that you know for free. There's two main reasons why. One is anybody a Jay Baer fan? He wrote a book called Utility. An awesome book, but I'll reference him a couple of times in the rest of the presentation, but I highly recommend it. He's one of the top content marketing thought leaders of our day, and what he says is that you want to give away everything that you know one bite at a time. And here's the deal, like, nobody's going to take the time to read 864 blog posts, right? That is always going to be in a random smattering of order anyway. So just give it away. And then I think the other piece is it's kind of just like a truth about the world is when we give things away, it always comes back to us, right? It always does. It's just one of those laws of the universe. So be generous in what you give away. And so that's really the mindset that we need to have as we talk through this. So I want to share with you guys, there's basically 3 parts to monetizing your personal brand, kind of 3 steps. We call it your relationship engine, essentially. And so we've got front-end traffic, so this is how do you get people to your site, and I think, David, with what you share this afternoon, you will probably be sharing a lot, I'm imagining, about that, and give away some real brilliant just nuggets of how to get more front-end traffic. The second piece is your content medium. So this is gonna be like the home space where people know they can go build a relationship with you. Because how many times does it happen where we have like a sales meeting with a prospect, or you do a talk like this, and it's hot and it's passionate and there's some good momentum going and people are into it, and then you get on the plane or you get in your car and you leave, and that's it. It's like it never happened, right? So we have to create a place where people can go to continue to build a relationship with you. Kind of like, think about yourself like a TV show, right? Like if you were a TV show, would people know what time to tune in, what channel you're on, right? So a content medium, we need a home place where people can connect with you. And then the third piece is the back-end monetization. How are you actually going to turn those relationships into revenue? How are you going to set up the proper back end? Because I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they send a lot of traffic to their site without having the proper systems in place on the back end to actually convert people. I feel like when people come to your site, we want one of 2 things to happen. You either want them to give you their money or their information. Because if they're not ready to buy from you, you want to at least be able to start building a relationship with them. And I see this all the time where people spend boatloads of money on Facebook ads and YouTube ads and all this stuff, but they don't have the proper systems set up on the back end to actually convert when people come over. So I'm actually going to start with the back end first, just because I think that's like where you would actually want to start if you were doing this, and also it's where people tend to get the most caught up. But I want to make it super simple for you here. So there's 3 different, basically I'm going to use the word funnels, 3 different funnels that you can use that work the best for back-end monetization of your site. We've got immediate call to action, a webinar funnel, and then PLF stands for product launch formula. So a product launch formula funnel, and I'll just share with you briefly how these work. So the first one here, the immediate call to action. Who in here has read this book by Donald Miller? Is it not awesome? Right? Yeah, guys, I do not know how you can survive in business today without reading this book. Like, just honestly, it gives you the words to say to describe and explain what you do. And one of the key takeaways, Donald is, he's a friend of ours, brilliant guy, lives out in Nashville. And one of the things that he always says is if you confuse, you lose. And so we named this funnel after him because it is very simple. It is 2 steps. You guys ready? Step 1, click. Step 2, buy. That is it. Click and buy. Because how many times do we go to somebody's website and they've got videos of them talking, and they've got testimonials, and they've got products listed, and they're like, look at how great I am. And then there's like nowhere listed where you can actually get in contact with them or buy from them, right? Or they've got a tiny little contact us button somewhere up there. And so you want to have a really simple click, buy, boom, make it prominent, somewhere easy to recognize on the website. And for some of you too, it may not be buying right on the site, right? It may be sign up for a consultation. If you're selling a $1 million product, a multi-million-dollar product, like, you're probably not selling that online. It probably requires a conversation with somebody. Just a good rule of thumb, and this is totally a rule of thumb, so it can be broken, but typically, if you're selling something that is more than $2,000, it requires a conversation. Or if it's a recurring product, like a recurring monthly product, and it's more than like $50 or maybe $100, it probably requires a conversation. Not always, just a rule of thumb. Okay, but it could be click and sign up for a call, but just some sort of quick call to action. The second funnel here is something we call the webinar funnel. Who in here is anybody a Lewis House fan? Does anybody listen to Lewis? Or okay, awesome. So Lewis he's a client of ours, he's a partner of ours, but we took, he's awesome, by the way, guys. If you are not listening to him, he's got one of the top 10 business podcasts, over 2 million downloads a month. All right, over 2 million downloads a month, and he is brilliant when it comes to online marketing. And this is all based off of his teachings in webinars. And I want you guys to think about it. Like, imagine if you had a podcast with 2 million downloads a month. Your results wouldn't even have to be that good because your reach was so high, right? And think about it, you would probably, like, think about the travel that you could not do. How many of us are kind of sick of getting on airplanes and having to travel, and we'd love if we never had to get on another airplane again? Okay, I think you guys will appreciate this then. I'm going to show you this video really quick just because it's fun and you will go to it.
Why can't we just get in? I don't understand. I don't know. It's right there.
Sorry, sir. You can't keep your bag there. You have to put it in the compartment.
Won't fit.
Try putting it in sideways.
I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, there seems to be a small problem with the sunglasses compartment in the center console. We should have that problem fixed momentarily, and we'll be on our way. Thanks for your patience. We're currently 4th in line and should be on our way in about 20 minutes. Just a little heads up, we have reached our cruising speed of 35 miles per hour, an altitude of about 0 feet. Let us know if there's anything we can do to make you drive good. Be sure to sign up for our rider loyalty program so you can collect thousands and thousands of meaningless points.
The screen's not working. Ma'am, can I give you this trash?
No, I'll be back shortly for trash.
But
It's not trash time! Sir, would you like to buy some headphones?
Ma'am, can I get a blanket?
Sure. Here.
looks like we're arriving right on time, so I'm going to circle around about 4 or 5 times. Where's my bag?
I love that video. It makes me happy. Yeah, so how many of us would love to never have to get on an airplane again, right? And so part of what I love about doing this and building out a webinar is you kind of automate the relationship. It's not truly automated in that it's one-sided, right? So this person who's watching your webinar starts to feel like they know you. So it's not truly a relationship. However, they start to build that relationship with you. And I'm starting a new podcast, but for several years I had a podcast that did pretty well, and people would reach out to me and it was like they knew me, right? And it always made it a much easier conversation. They would know little stuff about my life just because I'd shared it, and any of you guys who do that type of thing, you know that too. But we're looking for ways that we can start building relationships with people outside of strictly one-on-one meetings, right? So the webinar funnel is pretty simple. So basically you create a webinar, the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to write a resume, right? Whatever it is, get hired. And you create your webinar, and there would be a little box on your site where people can click sign up for it. They click, they register. So part of what we're doing here is we're building our email list, right? Are any of you really focused on building your email list right now? Okay, one. Yeah, it's important. Just again, a rule of thumb is every person you have on your email list typically equates to about $1 in revenue per year. So one of the things we always want to be focused on here is how can you start to grow your email list so that you can nurture and build those relationships as well. So this allows you to start building that. They give their information, they watch the webinar, and then at the very end, they have the opportunity to buy. And part of why this is so good is that any of your social media promotion, it's never about what you're selling. It may occasionally be, but typically it would be, hey guys, I've got this free webinar going on next week, or I've got this free course that you can take. And so the people who are just hearing of you, they're not getting like some crazy sales pitch, right? The only way anybody knows that you are selling is by making it all the way to the end of the webinar. And if they make it all the way to the very end, they want to hear what you have to say, or they're really bored. It's one or the other, but you have earned the right to make that offer to them. The third funnel that I want to show you is something we call the PLF funnel, the Product Launch Formula Funnel. Who in here has read this book, Launch by Jeff Walker? 2, 3, half? Is that a half?
I've seen his stuff.
You've seen his stuff. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm not going to share anything here that he doesn't share freely and openly. He's another friend of ours, like brilliant guy. I think you should take his course. I think it's awesome. But I'm just going to share with you the high level of how this works. So essentially what you would do is you would take the same content that you're going to teach in a webinar, and you're going to kind of chunk it down to a free video course. We like doing like 3 videos, and then one at the end where you're talking about what you're offering, where you're making your sales pitch. But somebody would click, they would get your free video course. That is what I showed you guys before, by the way. So this is an example of the Product Launch Formula Funnel. They click, they register, they watch your videos, and here is the key. Give away your best stuff in these videos. Don't hold it back. Do not hold it back. Give away your best stuff for free. That is what everybody does. That's why people buy. At the end of these is you're giving so much value, and then at the end, people can buy. All right, so those are the funnels. So that's the back end. So let's kind of back it up a step now to your relationship medium, your content medium. So is anybody in here a Michael Hyatt fan? Okay, yeah. So we got one. So Michael Hyatt is awesome. He wrote a book called Platform. I like to watch what he does, partially just to see how he does it. I feel like this is creating. Is that me or is that?
No, that's.
Oh, I was like, God, I'm breathing heavy and I don't realize that was weirding me out. Okay. Okay, I'm glad it's not me. All right, so he wrote a book called Platform. And so Michael really talks about how to establish, like how to build a platform, how to build reach. And one of the things that he says that I think is really wise is you never want to build your house on rented real estate. Okay, Okay, you never want to build your house on rented real estate. So when you're thinking about having like a home place where people can go to build a relationship with you, it could be a podcast, it could be Facebook, it could be your YouTube channel, it could be LinkedIn. But Michael really recommends having it be your blog for that very reason, right? You control it. You control the relationship. Has anybody been frustrated by Facebook changing the algorithm, or is, right? Like all of a sudden your videos are reaching hundreds and now it's like 10, yeah. Well, you do it, I was gonna say 2 for me. You're doing better than me, you got 10. So we wanna basically play where the traffic is. Like go and play where the traffic is. So LinkedIn Pulse is great. Podcasting is great, Facebook Live is great, but then always send people back to your blog because that's where you can control the relationship. That's also where they can see, oh, you've got a webinar coming up. You've got this free video course I can take. And at the end of the day, we don't want to just find audiences, we want to build them. And the thing used to be, how can you get in front of a new audience? But today, I really think that we need to be building our own audience, and we can do that by creating a platform where people can come and connect with us. So as we transition into the front end traffic, really the first piece of this, 2 books that I highly, highly recommend that will teach you a lot of what you need to know here. Inbound marketing, that's kind of like an old school, but it still works and it's still really good. And then the New Rules of Marketing and PR by David Meerman Scott. But again, I wanted to do this one last because so many people send traffic to their site without having a plan for how they're going to convert it. And I was talking to a client the other day who he's spending $500 a month on Facebook ads. I mean, it's not a massive amount of money, but it's significant. I could do a lot with $500. And he was frustrated because nothing was happening with the traffic. And just a real quick, simple look at his website was he didn't have any of this back-end stuff built out. So people didn't have a good way to connect with him. And so that's part of why I really recommend, like, get your back-end strategy figured out. Figure out the technology that is going to work for you to do that. Get your content platform built, then focus on getting lots of traffic to those pages. So there's 3 types of traffic that you can drive into your site. Free, paid, and then our favorite type, get paid traffic. So I want to talk about each of these just briefly here. So free traffic, actually guys, shout it out to me, like what are some, obviously we've got SEO up here, but what are some other ways that you could get free traffic to your site?
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, yeah, absolutely. Social media in general, yeah. What else? Well, you know one more. Mm-hmm. Yep. Email, yeah. So social media, Facebook Live, podcasting, right? That's another great way that you can get free traffic to your site. Social media, Cindy mentioned that one. And then this is what a lot of people miss, but PR. PR is awesome for this, and there's a company called Influence & Co. Some of my colleagues use them and really like using them. That helps with getting you placed in just a lot of like really powerful online blogs. I don't have an affiliate relationship with them, but I just have heard great things about them. And so you can pay someone to do that, but you can also just get mentions in PR. Like if you're doing great stuff, then you can get picked up, and that is amazing, amazing traffic to your site. Second type of traffic is paid. So let's shout it out. We've got obviously Google AdWords, like pay-per-click. What are some other types of paid traffic that you can think of that you might get to your site? Facebook ads, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What else?
Do they work?
Do they work? I think it all depends. Do you have the back end set up, right? Yeah. What else? Any other guesses? So we've got there's traditional advertising, right? I hear they're running great deals on Yellow Pages these days. Right, exactly. Pay-per-click on social, influencer marketing. Is anybody doing this? It's a little bit newer, but basically getting somebody who has a big platform, like going back to Kim Kardashian, right? People will pay her a lot of money to talk about their product. And that is something that's becoming more and more prevalent, and it's something that can work very well. And then boosted posts as well on Facebook. And part of the game here, guys, and I used to think that it was whoever has the best content will get the most traffic to their site. Can any of you relate to that, where you look at a blog or a website that's like really dominating and doing well in your space, and you're like, the content isn't that much better than mine, right? I mean, they're not that much better, but they've got all these comments and they've got all these people like liking and following them. And what I realized was that it's not who has the best content who gets the most traffic. It's who can afford to pay the most for the click. That is it. It is whoever can afford to pay the most for the traffic. And so if you're looking at other people in your space and you're like, why are they doing so much better than me? Usually what it is they have that back end dialed in where they know exactly what it takes for them to get one new customer. There's a book called Invisible Selling Machine by Ryan Deiss that you can read that will teach you more about this. Really, really good book. But he talks about basically once you've got that machine built and cranking on the back end, then you just throw more into it, right? You get more people into the machine, but you know exactly what you can afford to pay to get people into your machine. And then our favorite type of traffic is get paid traffic, okay? So this is awesome because you can actually double dip and get people to your site. So like paid speaking events, right? You're up there, you get in front of a new audience, you get paid to do it, and you're actually getting paid to send people to your site. TV, like getting paid to show up on national media, writing a book, publishing with a traditional publisher. We all know that you actually have to do most of the marketing for that. However, they will still typically get you in front of the audience that they have. And then affiliate marketing, whether you are paying somebody else to talk about what you do or somebody else is paying you to be in front of your audience. So these are the different types of traffic, and that's really the whole machine. Let me do just a quick time check. Okay, cool. Fourth and final problem here, and we'll wrap up. How in the world am I going to consistently produce content? Who in here struggles with that, where you're like, okay, I know I need to get, right? Yeah. Well, and this is where I want to bring back in, I mentioned to you, Jay Baer, this quote of media companies don't run on inspiration, they run on perspiration. Think about it. I mean, for better or for worse, the news is on every night. Sometimes it's not a good thing that they have to be on every night, right? Because they're really reaching for what can I make news. But everybody today, you each need to think of yourselves as a media company. You are a media company. But to help you out, one of the things that we really believe in is how can you take what you've already created and reuse it instead of constantly having to create something new. So I want to teach you just one final technique here. We call it the content diamond technique. I really like it, if I do say so myself. And essentially what it allows you to do is spend maybe 15 minutes a week creating content and get it in front of your entire audience. Okay? So here's what you do. You do a brainstorm. And this would be a great thing for everybody to do like this weekend or later today when you're back home. Do a brainstorm and think about what are all the different questions that somebody would have about what I do or what I sell. And just list them out. Goal is to get 52 because that provides you with a whole year's worth of content. All right, but just brainstorm what are all the different questions somebody might have. Then what's going to happen is you're going to pick one of those to answer. You are going to spend no more than 2 minutes preparing, and you are going to do it in what we call the PSPS formula. This again is kind of old school info marketing. And for an example, like Marlena, so you do personal branding, videography, and photography, right? So it might be, man, I really, like, I'm looking on Instagram and my pictures suck, right? Well, the solution is I need to get better photos, right? So I'm gonna get some better photos, but then the resulting problem from that is that, well, I realize I don't just need photos, I also need video in order to really stand out today. And so I want you to stay tuned for next week's video because I'm going to talk to you about how you can get great personal branding video. Ta-da! So obviously it would be a little bit more well thought out than that. But that is an example. It's here's this problem, let me teach you the solution. Now here's a bigger resulting problem that comes from that. And on my next video, I'm going to teach you guys how to handle that. Or in my course, I'm going to teach you how to do that, right? So it's old school, but it works. So you're going to spend 2 minutes preparing in that formula. You're going to go on Facebook Live, and you're going to hit record. Okay, you're going to go live. Now you can do it on YouTube Live, you can do it on IGTV, on Instagram. Part of why I like doing it on Facebook is it creates a horizontal video, which is easier to repurpose. On Instagram, it's vertical, so you've got like kind of the ugly black lines, the bars, if you try to repurpose it and put it on Facebook or on YouTube afterwards. But you go live, you record your video, and that is where your work stops, okay? Now is where you're going to get the help of a team to help you. You can outsource this to a VA. If you have an assistant already working for you, you can have them do this. You can get Fiverr to do it, but they're gonna do a couple of different things for you. They're gonna take that video and they're gonna strip the text and the images from it. And that is gonna turn into a LinkedIn Pulse article. It's gonna turn into some Pinterest pins, and it's also gonna turn into quotes that you can use on Instagram for that week. For transcription services, you can use rev.com. You can also use Temi, Temi.com. Temi is the cheapest one, but there's a lot of mistakes, so you have to go back and like redo a lot. So personally, I like using Rev. Then they're gonna take the video and the audio, and they're gonna put that on YouTube. It's gonna turn into a podcast, and it's also, you can take a 1-minute video from that and put it on Instagram. All of this is gonna point back to your blog. So everything is driving people back to your home space, that relationship medium. And that is it, guys. That is the content diamond, okay? You do not have to spend a lot of time creating new content every week if you put this system into place. And so just again, as we wrap here, guys, just one more time, if you want to see some of this in action, or if you just want to learn more about how to break through the wall, we'd love to have you take our free video course, First Step to Famous. You are also welcome, if you guys are listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I need some help with this, I'm more than happy to have a free brand strategy call with you. Again, I used to do sales coaching and training. I do not do that. I can refer you to somebody if you need true sales coaching and training, but this is about, I want to build a brand that gets warm leads. I want to be known as one of the best thought leaders in my space. I want to break through the wall. More than happy to talk through that with you, and just, there's probably a lot of questions, so help kind of explain some of that. And just as we wrap here, just some final thoughts. Building a business is not nearly as valuable as building a reputation, okay? Some of you may put up a video on Instagram or on Facebook and it gets like 2 likes or maybe 1 view, right? And I love this quote from Brendon Burchard because it is so easy to forget that these are people. These are people. And even if it is 2 likes, you never know how you may have just changed the lives of those 2 people, how they may have really needed to hear what you said in that day. So never, ever underestimate the value of 1, okay? Don't focus on converting customers, focus on creating fans, and don't just make money, make a difference. Thank you. If we have time. Do we have time for
I have no idea.
12:10. Can the button work? I don't know. We've been sitting for a while. Yeah, if you could.
Everybody just give me 1 second to set up here. And I just want to thank you again. That was awesome.
Is it cool if we do Q&A while you're setting up?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm coming. Brian, you had a question?
Yeah, I know it's a big picture person, not a attentive detail person.
Yeah.
What you put up is excellent, but I can't do that. How do I get someone like yourself to do it for me within a reasonable budget? Do you do things like that?
We do. Yep. So you would sign up for a brand strategy call, and we do things like the content diamond for our clients, and we help with all of that. So if any of that is something that you would like help with, we're certainly happy to talk with you.
And also, you said you were an action sales coach? Is that what you said?
No. I used to do sales coaching, so I spent a lot of my career doing sales coaching, kind of building a brand around that.
Right.
Recently transitioned out of that. Part of that transition was I had to remove all of my online content I'd ever created about that. So if you guys go look me up right now, you'll be like, she has the worst personal brand I've ever seen. So I promise I know how to do this. I'm just in a rebuilding process.
Were you part of a sales franchise or a sales?
I was. Yeah, I was Southwestern Consulting Group.
You were part of it.
Yep.
You're my competitor. One. You were.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
We can be friends now.
Okay, good.
I hope.
Can I friend you? Yeah, this
You can friend me, yes, you can friend me. Yeah.
So, one of my issues in terms of competition is that not only are there thousands, millions of other resume writers out there, and a lot of them are really good, and then you have people who think they can do it themselves. So I'm not just competing against competitors, I'm competing against the fools that have themselves for a client.
So the question is, how do I
Basically, I feel like I have to put down the bad, which people means that they did it themselves and I'm putting them down.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I would do is just in that brainstorm list of questions that you can answer, just like, why can't I do this myself? You know, and start talking about that. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in their marketing is they talk way too much about the solution and not nearly enough about the problem. And so we didn't talk about it today, but one of the things that we help clients do and that I would encourage all of you to do is get crystal clear on what is the number one problem that I solve. Like, what is the actual problem that I solve with what I'm doing? And then in all of your marketing and all of your messaging, you actually become a champion of that problem. In order to get the solution, they need to watch your course, buy your book, work with you, whatever it is. But I would start talking about that as a problem. And it's not in an insulting way, because some people can do it on their own. And it's probably not going to be as good as you, but so it's not that everybody has to be your client, but start talking about the problems that can result from that. Yeah.
It's the same with coaches, you know, there's a million of us out there. It's a question of, again, what Lisa's talking about, branding yourself in such a way that you stand out. How are you different? And why should someone work with you? I wouldn't insult the person necessarily saying, oh, you're a person that sucks. But, you know, just say, this is what I can do. Make it very, very apparent why you're different. Maybe you offer more services, maybe you do something different, and get solid results.
You could insult a template. Like a template, the random template that everybody else copies online when they have to do a resume. Say why this won't help you stay.
So I don't know if other entrepreneurs in the room have faced this, but a challenge I face with personal branding and company branding is the link between personal branding and company branding, like that as the founder, CEO, they become very tied. Like my personal brand and the company brand are very linked. And I know especially as I've reached 5-6 years into the company that's a challenge, because then if you ever want to part with the company, then you reach this kind of Steve Jobs difficulty of well, can you ever leave it? Can the company sustain you wanting to part? How much are you very much just a part of the company? So I guess as someone who's done so much with brands, both personal and company, I guess do you have any thoughts, advice for how to have that? Because there's pros and cons to it. So I guess how do you view that link of personal versus company?
Is the
branding?
company, is it your name? Is your name the company name?
No, it's not. So it's an entrepreneurship program for high school students that leverages the fact that I have, some good education and everything. So it's good for it to leverage me and some of the things that I've done. But yeah.
Yeah. No, that's one of kind of the weird ironies of this, is that if you ever want to sell, the business cannot be dependent on you. However, to get it to a level where it can sell, often you have to be well known for doing what you do. So I think it's probably more than we have time for a thorough conversation on today, but what I would say is focus on, you could almost think about your name as driving leads for that business, but the business is not necessarily, it's good that it's not your name per se. One of our clients he's one of the top loan officers in the country, and he is wanting to basically split from his current company and form a new one, but he's got a big brand around his current company. So one of the things that we were helping him do was start to kind of separate his brand to be just known as one of the top mortgage coaches in America, and he will drive leads right now to his current company, but then when he makes that switch, he'll be able to pivot and start driving them to a different company. So I think it's good that you have that distinction. And I would just be careful that things don't hinge on you if you ultimately want to make an exit from the company. Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. Thank you, guys.
I don't know what that is. Okay, so I was going to actually ask you, get you guys to use Mentimeter and actually do a little short answer for me on a question, but we're going to just jump right into it. Okay. I got a few phone calls. I wanted this to be more about target market, but I got a few phone calls, people still saying we actually thought this was going to be more on SEO, so I'm changing this a little. I changed it a little to hopefully the folks that came for a lot of SEO, you'll still not be upset. Okay, so this is all what I believe, so if you don't agree, well, that's fine. There's some stuff that's proven, but a lot of it is just how I think business should be done. So.